What is up, YouTube? Troken here. Welcome back to Draw Phase, and in today's video we are talking about the Kaisa deck running rampant on all the official regional opens in China. That's right, but before we get into the video, if you haven't already, please subscribe. You automatically enter yourself to win a Proving Grounds box set if we reach 500 subscribers. So, you click a button, you might win something. So, let's get straight to it. Let's go over the deck list of the Kaisa decks that have been played. This one specifically is from Beijing. There's like different iterations of the deck with just a few cards, either being swapped out or the sideboard is a little different. But for the most part, it remains to be consistent with certain battlefields and certain cards. So obviously, the one thing is to consider about this deck is that the legend ability is like really strong. The only one that really kind of like almost gets up to it is, in my opinion, Darius's ability, right? With the Legion and you add a mana or add a rune. I think that to be also like really good. Master Yi's obviously is really strong as well. But the fact that it adds a power, it gives Kaisa so much flexibility, and I think that's why it's so strong, right? You're spending these spells like in Hextech Ray without hitting your resource management too hard, right? And I think that's the first thing that makes this deck so strong. It has good tempo. It curves out incredibly well, right? Red and blue has all the best removal in the game, other than just like hard removal. But those hard removal in yellow, for instance, they're very costly. And I just think it just maintains so much tempo, so much aggressiveness. You could sit back and you can control the game early on, right, with your spells, or you can be aggressive, right? Both works. Like there's not one game plan you can do, and because of that flexibility, I think this is why the deck is coming out on top so often. Does this mean that when the game comes out officially, you should play it? I mean, if you're good enough, then yeah. See, the other thing is like these players in the Riftbound regional opens, right? They're talented, they're skilled, like they've played all the decks, right? They know how to navigate through the other decks. So when they use Kaisa, they know what to expect when playing those legends and these certain decks. So that's also one thing to consider. So this is from Beijing, like I said. So he's running 7 Fury and 5 Mind Runes. Now the biggest benefit, right, I think, is like the fact that these battlefields synergize with the legends the most out of all the legends in any type of combination with battlefields, right? For instance, Targon's Peak, when you conquer here, you can ready 2 runes. That's a Hextech Ray ready to go. That's a retreat. That's a smoke screen ready to go. That's just incredibly strong. Also, Void Gate, that extra damage, against certain matchups with buffs, obviously with Master Yi as well. You get that extra damage to help push you towards the might that the unit has on the battlefield. Really good. And I think the biggest problem with Kaisa is at this battlefield. Reaver's Row is too good for Kaisa. So like when you defend here, you may move your friendly unit here to base. Like you can just exit the showdown, right? Like you don't have to participate if you don't want to. All right, and then you dig into your deck a little bit. You draw what you need, and then you move in with Kaisa, and then Kaisa's ability, which is what they're running, Red Kaisa, Survivor, like a clean 4-cost 4 might unit with an accelerate ability and a conqueror, and I draw 1. That's what is so good. Like in the matches that we've seen, right, in the regionals, I see that by the end of the game, the Master Yi player has little to no hand, and the Kaisa player has just all the cards in their hand, or enough to get to the point where they can control the game and kind of just like withstand the storm and just like beat down the opponent, kind of just like drain them down to no cards in hand. Yeah, really good, because like with Reaver's Row, right? I'm sorry, that's Void Gate. With Reaver's Row, the Kaisa can move in, conquer, draw a card, get a point, If the Master Yi or any type of other, your opponent tries to go on in Reaver's Row, you could just, retreat your Kaisa back to your base, grab what you need and move in and conquer again and draw another card. It's just incredibly strong. Speaking of card draw, they're running a 3 of Stupefy, -1 at reaction speed. Yeah, it's just good. Something that's a really staple, like a solid staple card. Helps with the Master Yi matchup because of that +2 they get for solo defenders on battlefields. Cleave, Master Yi gets +2, right, for defending. This Assault 3 puts that over into your favor. Also incredibly good. Matches up with the Darius very well to ready him up. Hextech Ray has been doing work, because for one rune and the Kaisa, you tap into Kaisa, you can do 3 damage. And it's just so crucial. This card is super impactful, even though it's just so cheap and so basic, but it's like pretty much the bread and butter of the game. I mean, of the deck. And it's just been incredibly strong in playing. Retreat also, if you want to, your Kai'Sa is your most important unit in the deck. And the fact that you can just pop it off, and it reacts well with Ravenbloom Student, so you're buffing the Ravenbloom Student, and that's something your opponent also has to think of. Yeah, just insane. Ravenbloom Student also, like, I think in my opinion, is the best 2-drop in the game. You're doing damage with Hextech Ray, you're stunning or you're stupefying them, right? Or even you're playing Cleave, it becomes a 2-cost 6 might with just 3 mana altogether. Like, this combo is insane. They get up to 6. Incredible. Falling Star is probably the best removal in the game, in my opinion. Because of the people will say like the rune cost or the power cost, I'm sorry, is too high, but that power cost puts it out of reach for Defy. So that's actually a good thing. It's a good thing that it has those 2 rune costs. And really, if you're tapping Kaisa, right, then you're only paying the 1 rune cost anyway, so it's not that bad. Also, the way this card works is really interesting because it says do this twice, so that's 2 reflexive triggers, right? So they go on the stack separately. So you play the card, right? Then your opponent has to react to it, right? And then you can choose your targets. For instance, if you hit a Poro at a base, right, with the Zonias on the on their base, right, that Poro gets recalled to base, and then the second reflexive trigger goes on the stack, and you can kill the Poro as well, or any type of 3 might unit, or whatever. So the fact that this card works specifically in that order with those 2 reflexive triggers changes the game. Like, this card becomes, like, after the FAQ, this card became infinitely stronger. And the fact that it is also 2 power costs, right, puts it out of reach of the fight. You're gonna have to run wind walls just to counter it, and yeah, incredibly strong. Smoke Screen, one thing to consider about Smoke Screen, 2 energy, 1 power, give a unit at reaction speed -4 this turn to a minimum of 1. What people don't realize about that is that, if there is a 7 might unit, right, and you give it -4, that means it only has 3 life left, so it can be killed with a Hextech Ray. So that, like, this, if you understand that this card, like, it's like, oh, okay, it has 7 might, right, or 7 might or life, right, and then it goes down to 3, it still has at 7, it just can only do 3 damage. No, that's not how that card works. It just minuses the might, right? So it's just a 3-cost unit. So that Thousand Tail Watcher is a 3 might unit then, or that Master Yi, right, is a 2 might unit now, and it can easily be killed with the Hextech Ray. So Smoke Screen is borderline broken, Obviously, Watchful Sentry for some card draw, right? Early point winning. Yordle's doing work, right? Tank mitigates some damage from the battlefields, and you also draw a card for 3 energy and a 2 might unit. Void Seeker. It does get hit by Defy, right? Which is actually fair, because sometimes, like, this deck would be too good then. But 4 damage for those mirror matches with Kaisa, and only drawing 1 card. Oh, sorry, not only, but also drawing 1 card, really good. Takes care of a lot of units, and also that 1 power cost, with your Kaisa ability doesn't mean anything, honestly. Like, that's why this deck is so good. Also, you're gonna be playing like a lot of things because your resource management is very strong because of the Kaisa ability. So being able to Legion Noxus Hopeful out for cheap is very, very simple. Sprite Mother, one of the coolest cards in the game because, for 4 energy and 1 power and 3 might, you develop a ready temporary sprite with 3 might. And it can just, like, basically, like, this card should read, play Sprite Mother and gain a point, because that's what you do. You generally play this in a situation where a battlefield is open. You can move in onto the battlefield, and you could pop down a Watchful Sentry, you could pop down a Yordle, there's many things that you could do with those combos. Then we get into, like, the beef of the deck, right? Like, the Darius is really good, and that's the other thing to consider with this deck. Like, Darius is easy to Legion off of with, like, things like Hextech Ray, especially if you're popping down your Kai'Sa's Legend for it. Thousand Hill Watcher accelerates, and also Kai'Sa accelerates, right? So those three cards are crucial because they can react to board states very, very well, right? You know, you're more than likely comboing this with a cleave, right? So the fact that it's 7, it gets up to 10, you know, for what, 6 and a power. You know, if you're comboing this with a cleave, it's just so strong. You're definitely gonna more than likely taking away a battlefield. And it reacts fast, right? Because of that weird static legion or accelerate ability that it has. Then Thousand Tail Watcher accelerates, minusing 3 from units on board, which is also really insane. You can accelerate it; it can move in really fast. And same thing with Kai'Sa, you know, accelerates moving fast for those opportunity points for the battlefield. Now, this version from the Beijing Regional Open ran Progress Day to like dig deep into the deck. Ended up doing really well. Because again, you're only playing six runes. You know that your legend ability lets you play that power cost. So drawing 4 is really strong. Getting that card advantage over your opponent is really good. Now, I think what the best part about this deck is the flexibility in the sideboard, right? You know, you run a little more cleaves for the mirror matchup. You're running a little more smoke screens for the Master Yi matchup, right? You would switch that in. You know, it has 6 options to play in different combinations with decks. Obviously, Thermo Beam to contend those gear decks in Aurora, like Misfortune, Set, and Volibear. Ichthian Rain for those big matchups where either some things go tall or wide, because this signature card is ridiculous. Like, yeah, it is fairly cost, right? It is fairly the cost is fair, right? 7 energy, 3 power, right? But the fact that it has like 6 reflexive triggers is insane. So you could do this 6 times, deal 2 to a unit. So, you know, on those Victor matchups where they generally go wide, this card really, you know, pretty much shuts down that game plan. Also, in situations where, you know, you're running against that Dazzling Aurora deck, you can play this to get rid of one big dude and kind of just like get ahead of your opponent. Dr. Mundo for the mirror matchups as well, because we're spending so many or we're going to be playing a lot of spells. The fact that you can recycle is really good. And also Dr. Mundo, by the time like we like you'll actually play him, like you'll have so many cards in your trash that he's just too big to deal with, right? And then you're gonna have to like switch up your game plan, or your opponent will at least, to kind of attack with like might-based units, or just move in with a lot of units just to take care of him. And then by that time, like you've recycled your units, or sorry, you recycled your cards back into your trash, right? And you have those things available again. You have your cleaves, you have your smoke screens, you have your Hextech Ray or Hextech Rays. And yeah, it's just, listen, like this deck is good, right? But you also have to navigate it good. You have to be a good player too, right? Let's just be real. You know, just because like, you know, if you know nothing about the game and you know you download this deck list and you buy all the cards when the game releases, doesn't mean, you know, you're going to be winning tournaments left and right? There has to be also like a level of skill involved and some learning along the way to make it good. Now, let's talk about how we counter this. So The thing is, like, it's just slapping Master Yi around. Let's see. In the most recent one, the 3rd regional open, it went 1-1, and then we went to a full set of games. Yeah, and the first one as well. But the second one, it just swept it. So the thing is, I think this deck list is good, right? So let's go through it. You know, obviously Master Yi, you know, it gets +2 from the Legend ability. 6 and 6 clean split. The battlefields are also really good. Not as good as not as good as like the combination with Kai'Sa in my opinion, but still very good. Like when you hold here, draw 1, that's strong. You know, that's the point of the deck. First time you choose a friendly unit with the spell here. In the Dreaming Tree, you get to draw 1. It synergizes very well. And Obelisk of Power, you know, that additional rune. But it also benefits your opponent as well. Now, the thing is that Kai'Sa is just nuking these early game units. There are some iterations where the sideboard of Kai'Sa, right, isn't necessarily this one right here, but they also sideboard Ballista, right, which does 2 damage as a gear, and it just sits down there. So it gets rid of your pit rookies if it's not buffed. It gets rid of the Poros that you're running if it's not, you know, buffed, because the trigger doesn't happen the +1, the shield, and the legend ability only happens when a unit moves in. So if there's a ballista on your opponent's base, like, you should be worried. You know, it takes care of the wielder of water. You know, and you're gonna have to be using your disciplines or your on guards to kind of just make sure that they're not getting sniped out by either a ballista or some hextech rays. So the issue is that the way I just want to make this like quick and short, right? Can you sideboard Master Yi tailored to beat Kaisa by switching it around and make it more of a control deck, right? Obviously, you only need a couple units in the battlefield, right? But I think you really need to sideboard seals, right? Because the issue is that you have to keep up with Kaisa's resource management, right? That legend ability is so good. And when we're using our runes, our powers, or when we're paying the power cost, right, that sets us behind. And every time Kaisa casts a spell with the legend, it puts them ahead, right? And then from there, we're playing catch up with resource management and with unit management, right? Because they are not only like sniping things out, like Wielder of Water, the Poros, even the Sunlit Guardian gets hit by Hextech Ray. You know, this gets First Mate gets hit by Hextech Ray, and then we're gonna have to be spending our Primal Strengths. We're gonna have to be using our On Guards and our Disciplines, right? So I think what we really need to do, right, we have to change the sideboard, right, into running seals so that we can start running wind walls, right? I think countering those falling stars, countering those Ichthian rains are really, really important. I think Defy is an incredibly good card for countering the Kaisa spells, but it's just out of reach, out of like some of the more important ones like Progress Day. Actually, no, Defy hits everything except for Progress Day and Falling Star. And of course, like, it doesn't hit Ichthian Rain, which does get sideboarded in against the Master Yi matchup for the most part. So yeah, you know, I think you really have to like kind of switch it up and then just put some seals in. I suggest running, for instance, some more wind walls right into the sideboard. And hear me out, guys. Is it viable to actually play a Mystic Reversal? The thing is, it will like switch up the build for this Master Yi deck a lot, right? I think you take out your white Flame Protectors in that matchup, right? And you maybe you just set up second one for a Mystic Reversal, right? It's just as, you know, like the Mystic Reversal, yeah, of course, it has 3 power costs, but you know, I think taking that Ichthian Rain, taking those Falling Stars is the key to kind of beating the game or beating Kaisa. But I don't know, dude. I just wanted to go over the deck list real quick. Like, tell me what you guys think. Like, how do we beat this deck? Or is it that we're going to have to wait for the new cards and kind of see how the meta shifts? Is it true? Is this just the best deck in the game and everybody should play it? Or is it just one of those decks that just is just incredibly strong just based off the cards that we have and the fact that it curves out so incredibly well and it's just like really fast from the back end with all these accelerate cards and so forth. But yeah, I just want to make a quick video analyzing the meta a little bit, analyzing like the Kaisa deck, and just a little like my thoughts on how to beat it. Like, I think if you're playing the Master Yi deck, you know, I think we do sideboard and seals, right? And I think we running wind walls for more counterintuitive opposition against it, like play against Kaisa. And I think even putting in some Mystic Reversals to control those spells. Now, the issue is that when you tailor your sideboard just for one deck, you do fall short on other matchups, right? But I think that it's just in that situation, like looking at the statistics, the fact that, you know, over what, like 38%, I think in the last one, I know before that it was like 30.2% of decks were Kaisa. So then why not? Why not just tailor your sideboard to beating that one popular deck? And I think we should be able to take care of it. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hit up the comments and tell me what you guys think and how to beat Kaisa. I'd really appreciate your insight on it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.